Right now, though, we talk some football on a trade deadline Tuesday with our guy, Ross Tucker. Ross, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm just a little disappointed in you and Kyle Quinn there, Joe.
For what reason this time?
You guys are so greedy. I mean, they've traded for 3 guys in the last 5 days, an edge rusher, 2 corners, and now I'm on my Twitter X at Ross Tucker NFL, and I see if we had Jaelan Phillips and Trey Hendrickson, we would never allow a yard again.
We probably wouldn't.
Now you want Trey Hendrickson.
Yes.
Like, you guys are the guys that give people in Philly a bad name.
What?
You're the bad guys. You're the bad people.
Well, because we want to win?
We're raising the bar, Hugh. Hugh over here is lowering the bar. We're trying to raise it up,
God
Ross.
forbid. The standard is the standard, Ross. It's always rising.
They don't get it, man. They don't.
Do you guys even really feel this way, or is this just to get people engaged?
Well, hold on.
They really feel
No. I think we both have allowed for the fact that there's like zero chance that this is happening. But like, it would be fun, would it not?
Yeah, but you guys. What you do though is you talk about this, and then what happens is then some fans will be disappointed where it's like, yeah, but we didn't get Hendrickson or Myles Garrett, man. I heard Joe and Kyle, like, we could have gotten Hendrickson or Myles Garrett. I know this because not only do I listen, but all my buddies, I'm on the text thread with them. And they're like, next up, Hendrickson. I'm like, I don't even reply to them. I'm like, you guys are morons.
That's
like,
on
what?
them.
Like,
That's on
it's
them.
crazy.
So I will respond this way. Now, if he stays in Cincinnati or goes to an AFC team, I'll shrug and move on, and we'll all go about our day. But Ross, if he ends up by 4 o'clock with Seattle or Detroit, and it's only for a third-round pick, I could be disappointed. I want to add to this football team, but I understand your point, and it's unlikely.
No, that's a decent point, though, Joe. That is actually a decent point, that if he goes somewhere in the NFC, that if you're an Eagles fan, especially if the compensation's similar to Phillips, you can feel a certain way. I just want to make something very clear about this, okay? Mm-hmm. The Bengals are not the type of organization to eat money. So he might go for a third because you're going to take on the other $15 million for the rest of the year. Everyone needs to understand that you can't just look at this in a vacuum with the draft choice. Like, for example, okay, the reason I'm not even sure Jaelan Phillips is a better pickup than the Ravens getting Draymond Jones for a conditional 5th that might be a 4th. I just did the Titans game on Sunday, guys. He has 5 sacks in his last 4 games. Draymond Jones has been unbelievable, and he's not coming off the injury like Phillips. However, the Dolphins took on $5 million. Jaelan Phillips had $6.5 million left. The Dolphins ate $5 million of it. So all of these things are taken into account. It's the total invested assets. So if the Eagles had to pay Jaelan Phillips $6.5 million, then it probably would have been a 4th-round pick or maybe even a conditional 5th. But because the Dolphins were willing to eat all that money, then the Eagles were more willing to give a 3rd-round pick because they need that cap space. You can't only look at the player and the draft choice.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think most of the time we just do because we say, oh, it was only this, then Howie's a genius. But you're right. There is a lot more that impacts things and why guys move at this time of the year. All right, Ross, let's unpack what they have done. And I think we could probably all agree they're probably done from a significant standpoint. Ross, how do you view the upgrades they've made? Phillips being the biggest name and probably the most likely to impact things, but also what they did last week, getting Michael Carter from the Jets, the slot corner. And then I think the Jair Alexander one is interesting because he brings so much name value, and he was so good not that long ago, but obviously the last year for him has not worked out. The 3 of them together, let's talk through what you think they've added here.
All right, so big picture, I got to tell you, and I know everybody really likes him anyway, but I love the way Howie Roseman lives his football life. You know, I talk to my daughters all the time about trying to live with no regrets. I honestly think he looks at it and is like, am I more likely to regret giving up a 3rd-round pick to get Jaelan Phillips, or we lose a playoff game in the divisional round of conference championship game because we can't get enough pressure on the quarterback, and Jaelan Phillips would have been the difference? Of course the answer is you're more likely to regret not having tried to make a move for a guy that's a legit pass rusher. So I love the no regrets mindset that Howie Roseman operates with. Let's start with Alexander. I did the second game of the year for the Ravens. He played the first against the Bills, got absolutely torched. They said it was a health thing. They haven't really played him since then. That is like a total lottery ticket flyer. They'll see if he looks like he's 100% in practice and might be able to help him. The Michael Carter thing is super interesting because he has played that nickel spot at a really high level. And it does give them, I know Fangio doesn't want to do this, but if at some point they decide their best defense is with Cooper DeJean outside and Michael Carter inside, that gives them that option. The other thing is they were not in a good place if something happened to Cooper. They were not in a good place with that nickelback spot. I don't know if they think that Mac McWilliams is ready for it or who would have played that spot. So now if something did happen to Cooper, or listen, what happens if something happened to Makuba or Blankenship? They might think their best defense is to move Cooper back to safety. So Michael Carter gives them crazy flexibility and depth, which I liked. The Jaelan Phillips thing, my favorite part about that is how much Fangio liked him a couple years ago. Remember the Dolphins? Some of the Dolphins players tried to run Fangio out of town. You know, they didn't like him. Oh, he's too hard on us and blah, blah, blah. It feels like Jaelan Phillips is his type of player. He's coming off 2 really bad injuries, but they've been moving him all over the place. The last couple games, he's looked better. And I haven't said this anywhere else. I'm going to tell you guys this, okay? There was like 5 or 6 years where I did the U.S. Army Bowl. You know, the high school All-American game? And it's all the top guys. In the 5 or 6 years that I did it, the guy that could have gone right from high school and been drafted in the NFL was Jaelan Phillips. He was the number 1 guy in the 6 years I think I did that game. And I'm telling you, it was everybody. It was Christian McCaffrey and Sam Darnold, and everybody you can name was in that game. Jaelan Phillips was 6'6", 250, was unblockable. If he was allowed to enter the NFL draft out of high school, I think at a minimum somebody takes him in the 6th or 7th round. Like, he was that gifted already. He's always kind of been that talented.
Well, that is you don't hear that often with NFL players. I mean, that's more of a basketball thing or baseball, right? You could put him right from the high school. That's incredible stuff. Ross Tucker with us here as we count down the hours to the trade deadline, 4 o'clock today. We'll see if Howie's got one more move up his sleeve here. Ross, let's talk through the NFC, which we've talked about all year is a good conference, especially at the top right now. And we're waiting to see what everybody else does between now and 4 o'clock. So it was an interesting week. Eagles were off, and it felt like everything went their way. Lions lost, Packers lost, and lost a big player in Tucker Kraft before the game on Monday night. But I keep looking out west, Ross, because right now for me, the Rams and Seahawks feel like they're playing at a different level. How would you kind of assign where the Eagles are as we come out of the bye versus the top, whoever you think the top of the NFC is?
I totally agree that right now the 3 best teams in the NFC appear to be the Eagles, Seahawks, Rams. No one will really buy into the Seahawks because their quarterback, Sam Darnold, and they're the Seahawks. He looked amazing on Sunday night. He played extremely well for the Vikings last year. But listen, the only thing people remember is the last 2 games because those were the 2 nationally televised games. It was the Week 18 game where if they won, they would have won the division. He was bad. Then the next week in the playoffs, he was bad. So no one's really going to buy that Sam Darnold and the Seahawks are a legit Super Bowl contender. But I'm here to tell you they are. I think they're that good. The Rams thing, I feel like someone pulled a fast one on us. Matthew Stafford did nothing in training camp. All they talked about was how bad his back was, herniated disc. He got an epidural, and I'm sitting there telling everybody on the Even Money Betting podcast, take the under on his passing yards. Take the under on his season passing yards. He'll be lucky to play in every game. And maybe it flares up at some point, Joe, but the guy is one of the 3 best candidates for MVP. He's having a career year at 37, coming off with a herniated disc that he had to get an epidural shot for. It's crazy.
It's wild. And he always does just throw 3 touchdowns every time I watch their game. He's been great this season. All right, Ross, let's look ahead to Monday night. Now, we talked about this last week, but things have changed a little bit here. Packers off a bad loss as a huge favorite at home against the Carolina Panthers, and now they have some injuries, including Tucker Kraft, who I thought was their best pass-catching weapon. How do you view the game with the Packers coming off the loss into Monday night next week?
Well, and I think Hugh would agree with me on this. I don't ever think it's good when a team's coming off a really bad loss like that, because it's going to be like World War III in that facility all week. I mean, all hands. I mean, and it always is. And people driving around right now are like, don't you guys get motivated for every game? Yes.
Yeah,
but there's no question.
Like
Look, ask anybody that's ever bet on a game or ever played on a team. After a bad loss like that, teams have a high tendency to bounce back. Now, your point about Tucker Kraft is a good one. I thought he was their most important skill guy. I think you could argue he's the best tight end in the NFL. Certainly one of the 2 or 3 best. That's a major loss. That said, they did take Musgrave around earlier than him a couple years ago. Musgrave can really run. I'll tell you the other thing. Micah Parsons didn't have a pressure against the Panthers for the first time in his NFL career. That guy is going to be shot out of a cannon on Monday night. He's from here in PA. He knows everybody's Eagles fans. He knows everybody's watching. Like watching him move around, go against Lane or Jordan, wherever they put him, that is going to be amazing Monday night. I still think the Eagles have a great chance to win, but it is going to be an absolute battle. The biggest thing is that the Packers O-line hasn't been playing that great. The Eagles need to dominate up front, get after Jordan Love, because he's really kind of up and down. He's still in the young, streaky category, I would say.
I agree. When he's good, he's really good. But then that throw he had on Sunday to nobody but a Panther in the end zone was a bizarre one. Ross, we appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of trade deadline day, and we'll catch up next week after the game. It should be a great one Monday night. Thank you, Ross.
Sounds great. See you guys.
There
Have a good
goes.
one.
Ross Tucker, NFL, for your daily Eagles and NFL fix there.